Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Cart to Cart. We are excited to be back. Today, we're going to be talking about just some general Shopify news. We had a big partner town hall today. And this episode, we're also going to be getting a deep dive into Brenda. Diana's done some really good research on some little facts, and we're going to see, get to know Brenda a lot better. So really excited about that. But before we dive into that, what did everyone think about the partner town hall that happened yesterday?
It was good. Who was there in Toronto? Were all three of you in Toronto?
No, I was in Ottawa.
Anne and I were like in the offices.
I mean, I saw Trudy. I saw the back of your hair immediately.
And I think Atlee
started.
Atlee called you out being like, oh, Trudy's here or something. So I'm like, Trudy's there. That's the
we
only
matched.
reason I knew. Yeah, that's so funny.
They're wearing the same t-shirt. It was
Really?
delightful.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I love
What
that
was,
t-shirt.
Remind me what the t-shirt was?
It was the Shopify, like from the green Shopify terry cloth one from the store.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It was a good turnout. I think there was probably about, 70-ish people.
Yeah,
I would say.
They said that 75 people were coming, so that sounds
there
about
you go.
right.
Oh,
That's
and 70
great.
showed
Yeah.
up. That's great.
Yeah.
Mhm. And there
what was it? What was it like afterwards? Did you all stick around and mingle? Did you have any good
Yeah.
conversations with Shoppa folk? We want to know what the Shoppa folk said.
I
Not
let down the team in
really.
that respect. I didn't actually talk to that many Shoppa folk. I talked to more people just that
No.
were in the ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mostly talking to people in the ecosystem as well.
Who all was there? Like, you have the inner scoop that, the 3,000 people on the stream did not get. So give us a little more color there.
Tom Kimura was there.
From Brickspace?
Yeah.
Thomas? I was
Thomas.
thinking it was
Thomas.
Thomas.
I was,
Yeah.
I mean, he's like
Thomas,
Thomas
that's why.
online, so I was like, wait, do I
Yeah.
know who you're talking about? Maybe
Yeah.
he goes by Tom.
Thomas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Did he tell you anything about like how? Because he's selling a theme off of the theme store for the first time, which I think is really
Cool.
interesting and cool.
Yeah, I wish him all the luck with that. I think it's actually such a good move nowadays with the way things are going with the theme store. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it's early days just yet, but I chatted with him a bit and he said he's been having some really good conversations. So very exciting.
Cool.
The biggest takeaway I had from the partner town hall is that they've gotten some criticism in recent months, years, whatever, that they've kind of moved away from having that direct contact with partners and people in the ecosystem that are directly using the Shopify product. So I thought this was a really good, even though we maybe didn't get as many answers as we wanted to, it was just a good signal showing that they're committed to actually moving forward and talking to people a lot more than they have in the past, instead of it being a really like closed system. I feel like once they IPO'd, it was very much like, oh, we're locking things down. And so hopefully this is a sign that they're opening things up again.
Yeah.
You put that really well, a signal.
That's the thing. It's like, I'm grateful that they kind of said like, we don't do everything right sometimes. And like, we're working on it and, taking in feedback and stuff. And it does feel like they're just trying to bring back that feeling from, 2017, 2018, whenever it was. But yeah, me personally, like I had asked a question, about, hi, there's like lots of, things that don't work with each other in the, in the ecosystem. Like, would have loved to hear more about like opportunities, not just to like talk to someone in partner support, but to partner with product teams to be like, okay, let's like boots on the ground. What's going on? What's not working? Like, there's some things that we're dealing with that are just like becoming worse, right? In terms of like frustrations and so on and so forth for merchants. And so, yeah, it just, yes, agentic and yes, all the stuff, but I would have just liked to understand that more. And hopefully that's something that's coming where we can just build not just partnership about like breaking changes, but like, hey, let's get partners in on the APIs that they really require and what needs to change and so on and so forth. So yeah, we'll see if that comes with time as they like move down this direction.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that were addressed that I appreciated. Like one was talking about the importance of storefronts and that isn't lessening right now, because it feels like with so much talk about agentic and shopping and ChatGPT, storefronts just kind of got lost in all the newness. And so hearing a commitment to that was really good. I was actually at the New York event where we had a watch party. So there were probably 50 or so people, 40 people there, which was cool. And the sentiment afterwards too was there's a lot of agencies in New York, who do custom builds and they felt a little like they weren't, like everything was about apps. So I think, again, like a great signal, a great start, and hopefully a good start to like continued commitment and more communication back and forth, for sure.
I mean, they reminisced a lot. I feel like that was, it was like all these cute photos and everything. I'm like, yeah, I remember my time there. It was like super fun and stuff. But yeah, like can't focus on the past. Like we just got to make it a new thing.
But the first time I did meet Atlee, she was running the Pursuit in New York. I went to, and yeah, and then it's like she's been, I guess, at Shopify the whole time, but she has disappeared. Like I don't know where she wasn't.
I don't
like,
remember, but yeah, she switched. I think she switched different. Like
yeah, she said she was in HR for a while, so she's she probably has a really good understanding of the whole makeup.
Yeah, I think it's interesting about the agentic because I have even heard a lot of merchants worried about the storefront experience because it's their way to differentiate from other brands, and so. Yeah, them addressing that is still being important. I still want to see how the whole agentic thing plays out because also they were like talking about you'd be able to like subscriptions and upsells and all those things.
Yeah, I'm wondering about if the product page is going to turn more into apps because then the apps are easier to bring into agentic commerce. That was just kind of an idea that floated around in my head. Like looking at how all the customer pages in the theme are now only controlled by apps and there's no custom code in there. Is there more of that coming that is easier to like spread out the storefront into different pieces in different places? I also think with there's been some good conversations about themes with other theme partners I know that Atlee has had, and that wasn't really mentioned, but that is also, I'm really excited to have that back because like thinking about what Thomas is doing and selling a theme off of the theme store, he's really good at social media and really is tuned into like agencies and developers, but there is most themes, as far as I know historically, premium themes on the store are just regular merchants who don't have a team and who want something professional. And I think that there's really no good way to sell that off of the theme store. And that's where most of my theme business comes from. So I'm still looking and hoping for like some great changes to the theme store coming up in the next year.
One of the things with that is that because the theme store is vetted, you can always trust it. So it's like we might know that you can buy a Brickspace theme and it'll be good. But merchants have no good way of discerning what is going to be good or not if it's not through the theme store. So that's one big reason why a regular merchant would still want to go through there.
Totally.
I think overall with the Partner Town Hall, it's sort of, we have .dev coming up in July, and they also announced that ticket sales will go on next week. And actually, when we were in the meetup in person, Trudy won a free ticket. So yay,
I saw
congratulations.
That. Congrats.
Yeah. But overall, I think sometimes I feel like we get a little bit spoiled in Shopify land where we think like, oh, we need this and we need that. But if you look at any other type of industries, especially in tech, we have a level of communication from the mothership, if you will, that isn't really that standard across the board. And even things like conferences being very inexpensive and just all the things that they do for us. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves in the future. But yeah, so it was a good day. But with that, shall we move on to the interview portion and get to know Brenda a little bit?
Do it.
Right,
Brenda, I'm so excited to we've come up with some spicy questions. Me and my good friend Sleuther Claude. We've scoured the internet to find things about you that hopefully, not a lot of people know, and can delve in deeper. So I think that's going to be it's going to be fun. Are you excited?
Yes. Excited and scared. No, not scared. Excited.
Scared of my own story. No. So yeah, so we'll jump into it. I'll start a little bit lighter. Then there'll be some interesting, more fun, spicy questions, and yeah, we'll take it from there. How's that sound?
Okay. I think you need to have your own talk show and just interview people. This is feeling really good. Well, I don't know. The questions haven't come yet.
Yeah, true. That's true. If it goes well, I might take your advice. Okay, so you started out as a graphic designer, got kind of bit by the coding bug, and then you kind of accidentally built a 15-year career on being really good at CSS. And, I'm just curious about, what's one thing that you gave up by going kind of deep in that one skill instead of staying broad?
Corporate career, probably. I don't know. I think there's been different times in my career that the trend has come up and I haven't jumped on board where everybody else who I'm working alongside has jumped on board. And I think that probably happens a lot early in careers. Like people specialize and people kind of branch off. Like the one I can think of mostly is like frameworks. I did work on JavaScript frameworks, but I didn't go all in on things like CSS and JS and Tailwind even and Booster. Like I really like writing custom CSS. I'm really good at it. I understand CSS a lot. I still have a design eye and it just makes me stand out. I think I'm just going to follow what I love and what I'm interested in, and then I'll keep learning. Otherwise, if something doesn't interest me as much, I'm not going to invest in it and I'm probably not going to get good at it. That's just kind of how I think I've done things, and it's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I'm like, that's very life advice where I feel like I've done the same thing. I don't know about you, Trudy and Anne, but it's scary when you get out of school and you're like kind of told that, you kind of have to do what feels right for the times, right? Where it's like, well, it's a tough time in whatever tech right now, maybe you need to diversify your skills. It's like, well, I actually fundamentally believe kind of the way you've led your life, Brenda, of like, follow your passion, because that's going to get you quite far and it's going to open a lot of doors for you. And maybe it changes your career. The next 15 years might be something entirely different, but at least you can look back and feel like, hey, I did the thing that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And totally, like, I feel like I got made fun of for CSS all the time. Like it was always like the butt of the developer jokes that it's not really a development language. But I kind of took that to heart at first. And then I kind of realized that most of the people that were saying that just didn't understand it. And so they were making fun of it and just didn't respect it or appreciate it and didn't like it. And that's fine. You don't have to like it. That's why you hire me, because I like it and I'll do it. There's plenty of things I don't like that you can do. And I think I was really afraid that it was going to stunt my career because it didn't get a lot of respect. But instead, I found that people who appreciated it, like most of the times I was hired in teams that didn't have somebody who was good at it, and it became a problem. And they appreciated that having someone who was knowledgeable and who cared about it, who could like take that under, was really valuable. So then I ended up in like teams where I fit in really well.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think that makes complete sense. It's just like showing your skills and like developing those and proving it. But this leads into this great next question. You had mentioned in, I think, a blog post and also on your website that, you went from GeoCities to building themes on Shopify. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask, what is the most embarrassing website that you made in the early days?
Okay. Well, I have two come to mind. My first websites. I think my very first website was a Leonardo DiCaprio fan page.
We need to find this. We need to find.
I have tried.
Oh, no.
But it came out. I built it before Titanic. Okay, before Titanic came out, and I just had a thing for him, and so he took all these very interesting pictures. He was always in like editorial pictures, and like David LaChapelle was taking all these pictures of him, and so I just made a website of those pictures, and I had put like a counter on the bottom, like one did in the 90s,
of course, and
all of a sudden, and I have my email address at the bottom, like email me, but this was like 1996, 97. And so I started to get, after Titanic came out, emails. I got like a handful of emails of people being like, oh my God, Leonardo, I love you so much. You were so great in Titanic. And people thought that I was Leonardo DiCaprio. And also and so I was like, that's weird. And I went to the website because I hadn't looked at it in a long time. And my counter had gone off. I wish I knew. I think I probably had like 30, probably more than that, because it probably took me more than 30 refreshes to make that website when I first made it. But the only visitors were like me refreshing the page when I made it and like 4 of my friends. And so I had gone like as viral as I could have then. Like, I think maybe I had 1,000 views. I wish I knew the number. And I was like, oh my God, people are going to this website. How are they finding it? I don't think that's embarrassing. I think that's awesome. But was able to recover most of one of my early websites, which was a Robbie Williams fan site. And I made
also amazing.
The first US-based Robbie Williams fan site, because I am one of 5 Robbie Williams fans who is American. And I found it and I put it up online. So if you go to my GitHub, there's a link to it. But I'm missing a lot of the imagery, and there used to be an image map that was the navigation, and I can't find that image map asset. But I think because this was like 1999, like storing an image was like a whole disk, you know? It was like I just didn't store all the images because I didn't have the disk space. But the front of the website is like choose frames or no frames, and I think there's a marquee with links scrolling through it, and it's pretty great. Beautiful. It's pretty bad and great.
We'll have to pull some of this for the editing portion of this, just because we've just got to like this. That's absolutely amazing.
I used to have a counter on it too, but when I pulled up the old code, I found that the counter had been compromised and hacked, so I had to pull the counterpart off.
Counters, that's amazing. So yeah, and so kind of like transition into a very similar kind of, maybe not specifically famous celebrities, but you did actually create an entire fake olive oil brand with like fake owners and fake backstory, fake photos of your niece and everything, just to make the demo store for Whisk, your theme. And I'm just curious, how far did you go with that world? Like, did all the fake farmers have names? Like, how deep does this story really go?
It was really fun. And this was before we were using AI to create copy. And so I had a friend help me with the copy, who's a copywriter,
Nice.
volunteered to write the copy for me. And then I asked my niece and her husband, they had a great photo of them in the woods, if I could use their picture as a fake, as the fake owners. I think their names are Susanna and Jack. And I made this whole family, and their name is Frula as their last name, which means whisk in Italian. And the names of the grandparents who started the orchard are Donabella and Goffredo, really Italian names. And then, and then we dropped little Easter eggs in it to make it fun. The blog posts are written by basically girl pop artists, but their names are a little bit different. So if you look, there might be a Mel B, but it's Mel Bee or something. And so I started to just do that throughout all of my demo stores. Is there's lots of little girl pop Easter eggs. Even one, my second demo store is called Honey to the Bee, which is the name of a Billy Piper song from 2000. Billy Piper of Doctor Who had a pop music career, if people don't know. But yes, so I just you got to have fun with that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I feel like there was an opportunity for Leonardo to be part of this olive oil company, but
it's not too late.
It's not too late.
He could sponsor.
If he listens to this podcast, he absolutely will.
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe I need to start incorporating celebrities into my demo stores to sell themes.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's totally legal.
Yeah. Of course.
Also, I think I have Afterglow is another demo store, which is a Taylor Swift song. Yeah, so yeah.
It works. It's inspiration, right?
I went for it, yeah.
From reality. Switching gears a little bit, I wanted to chat a little bit about something that kind of, you started taking on during the pandemic, a little bit more personal, get to hear a little bit about, junior high. Basically, from my understanding,
the best time of our lives.
Right? All of our lives.
Everybody's favorite years.
Wish I could go back. No, absolutely not. But you ran 9 races in a year to qualify for the NYC Marathon. And that was after you joined the running groups, like around COVID. And yeah, read somewhere that, you only did it because I think you didn't like track that much, but you wanted to get closer to your crush during junior high. And so, would love to hear more about that whole story.
So in junior high, there was the most popular boy in school, Steve Och, and everybody liked him. But of course, I was probably, if you talked to him today and asked him, do you remember the name of any of the girls who had a crush on you? He'd be like, Brenda, I was like the annoying girl. But
amazing.
I was in we were in a PE class and I was so excited to be in PE with him. Like we got scheduled the same PE class, but they separated the PE class into people who were on the track team and people who weren't on the track team. And I'm like, well, I am not going to be in PE with Steve Och and not be in the same class with him. So I joined the track team just for that. And I was so slow. And I was like 4'9" maybe, and like 80 pounds. I was like really small and short. And I was really good at the hurdles. I don't know how I jumped over those hurdles. I would not jump over a hurdle today. I was slow, but I had great form. So that was the start and end of my track career. And then, during COVID, I live near Central Park in New York. So I just wanted to do things again and get out of my house. And so I thought maybe I don't hate running. Let me try it. And I decided to try and run the marathon. And in New York, you can do these 9 races locally that will qualify you for a guaranteed spot. But I hurt my knee 2 weeks before I was supposed to run the marathon in 2023, I guess. I was really bummed. And so I still have not ran the marathon, but I am trying this year. I again qualified for it. So I have entered it, but I have not really been training, been trying to build up my strength, because I think that's where I fell short last time, was I overtrained in running, but I wasn't really building up muscle. So we'll see if I get to it this year, but
yeah, I'm curious. We'll have to catch up with you after the fact and see where you're at.
Well, if I become a runner, I will talk about it all the time because that's part of how it goes.
Yeah, I was going to say it becomes your identity.
You'll hear about it.
That's literally all you'll talk about. Yeah. Obviously, back to your career a little bit. We did talk a bit about how you kind of made these pivots and a bit of design, a bit of development, which at least to me it feels like you've probably been underestimated in either side at various points in your career. Which side? I'm just curious. Which side was worse? Designers who think you couldn't really code, or developers who thought you really couldn't design?
Or developers who think that you're not, I think I already talked about being good at CSS is you're not really a developer, but I just kind of brush all that stuff off. Whatever, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. And design, I think I had one designer once ask me where I lived, and I said I lived in Manhattan, and he was like, oh my God, you don't live in Brooklyn? It's didn't think I was a real designer because I didn't live in Brooklyn.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know if maybe it was a joke, but it kind of didn't feel like a joke. So I don't know. I feel like you're always going to get underestimated, right? I don't know. I kind of prefer to be underestimated and then surprise people that I actually know what I'm doing for the most part. But also, I'm also a curious person, and I'm not afraid to ask questions and clarification for things I don't understand. And I find that the people who respond well to that are generally low ego people who I'll work well with, versus people who actually take that as you don't know what you're doing. I have more respect for somebody who asks questions. They probably know more because they've been asking questions.
Yeah, I do like that mindset too, right? And it's also those are the people you want to be working with, that appreciate good quality questions and don't give you shit.
Speaking of good quality questions, we need to re-interview you, and I don't know how you can write the questions for yourself, but you're killing it.
Can I do? Yeah, I'll have to think on it.
We'll talk to Claude.
We will have to talk to Claude because it's a little sketchy how much it knows. So yeah, now I have to do the same thing to figure out what it knows about me and then erase the internet.
Rub the internet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Before anything happens. Now, okay, so like on that same wavelength about like, you know, just not giving up and feeling like, yeah, like through the struggles, through like the difficult people that you work with. Yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about rejection. Your first Shopify theme that you've submitted was rejected. And then I think in one of the blogs you mentioned like you kind of overworked yourself. It led to a herniated disc and you had to step away for about a month, which like, you know, kind of, it's difficult, I'm sure, to get back. I'd love to hear more about that. But yeah, like, I guess just like, did you ever feel like during that moment you wanted to quit? And, you know, obviously you're here and building amazing things. Like what stopped you and like what kept you going through that?
I just knew I could do it. I knew, like, I felt that. I mean, I wanted to build a theme from the moment I started working on Shopify, which was around 2018. And even asked, I was working on a Plus store and we had a Plus partner manager. And I asked, like, how do you get in the theme store? And they're like, you can't, it's closed. So as soon as that was announced, it was just the best timing where I was really burnt out from client work. It was middle of the pandemic. There was like nothing else going on. And so I hunkered down to do that. And I think I spent about 9 months initially building it. I thought it would only take me 6 months. I don't know about you all, but have you ever gotten better at estimating how long something takes? I swear that is my worst quality. I've never gotten better at that. And so when I submitted it and it just got outright rejected, I was super bummed, but I would never thought that I was going to abandon it. Like I went into the project thinking, oh, I'm at least going to learn something along the way if it doesn't get accepted. But then by that point, I was like, no, I just need to understand the feedback and take it in. But also just kind of circling back to talking about partnerships and the town hall. One of the reasons I didn't quit was because there was a theme partnership manager who had been talking to me along the way. And this is something, I'm not building a second theme for the theme store as I had kind of started one a while ago, but I'm worried that things are going to change too quickly before I can get a theme out. And one of the things that was touched on was like the stability of the ecosystem yesterday. And I thought there was it was a good response to talk about like being grandfathered in and trying to keep stable APIs. But also there's things like a theme, which take about a year for anybody to build, even agencies that have themes. A new theme is about a year-long project. So even if your project isn't finished and you're working on something, and then the rules change suddenly, you're not grandfathered into the rule, and that can be really upsetting. And if I had been working on a theme, a rule changed this year, that would have had me have to tank my whole code base. So I was kind of grateful that I haven't, but I think that I'm hoping with more back and forth, like those types of problems can also be surfaced and being addressed. But anyways, I digress. So I had a partnership manager, Marcus, who is now the CEO of Clean Canvas. He was helping me and giving me some guidance. I don't know if I would have completed the theme at all without his guidance. So he helped, and he left right before I got rejected too. So then I was kind of on my own. But by then I just knew what I needed. I just saw my future and saw that this is how I wanted my future to be. I had been working in tech and mostly doing client work for 15 years at that point, and I needed to do something different, and I wanted a product, and I knew I needed to grow my career. And I had been really torn between, do I stay an individual contributor? Do I go into management? And that felt like the only two choices for so long. And then this felt like a growth avenue I hadn't contemplated that just fit my skill set and my experience. So I just knew I had to do it. And I knew I could do it. I just had to like swallow my pride and take the feedback and like make it better. And it was so much better. It was the right feedback. And I ended up making a better theme out of it.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's it's actually extremely challenging to put aside your ego and be like, no, you're wrong.
But I had to step, I was like, okay, I have to step away. Like I need, Good. And so also like because I wasn't working, so I wasn't making any money. So that was also like really scary. But to like then come back at it with some fresh eyes was really helpful. Also, I went to Unite that year. It was the last Unite in 2022. And they had office hours there where you could sit and talk to the review teams for app review teams, and then theme review team was there. So I purposely like set that as my deadline for a renewed version of the theme. And I knew I was going to have the opportunity to sit and talk with people there and see if I was on the right track. And I ended up talking to one of the people who rejected my theme. So it was great because he had context on it and he felt kind of bad. But I was like, I'm so excited it's you. Like, tell me if I'm on the right track. So that that touch point made a huge difference too.
That's such a good story. I mean, it's like, it's funny. Like if anyone from Shopify listens to this podcast, they'll get some really good nuggets of like how impactful those kinds of things are. Cause I'm like, if you're turning this into a 2-day conference, I think there's opportunity to do things like that for us. So, that's super neat.
I'm curious with Trudy and Anne, if you've had any experiences like that with design packs or anything else.
Yeah, we absolutely sat down with the app listing like review team and that kind of thing. And it was incredibly helpful because, you know, as much as documentation they put out and what have you, it's a big difference between being able to sit there and talk with someone and ask them questions directly. So anytime you get the chance to speak with Shopify, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say, having worked there, you only know what you know and you build rules based on, you know, what you think is right. And I think the benefit of Shopify is that they actually take feedback quite well. And like, they're obviously making changes. Like, and so we always have to remember they're humans too. And it's just that they're making decisions to try to make the entire ecosystem a better and more sustainable place and a higher quality place. But that doesn't mean rules have to stay the same if they don't make sense. So yeah, I feel like bumping into someone, they're like, oh, I wasn't even aware that this was an issue or whatnot, right? Like our issue was that they were conflating subscriptions apps with what we do. And while we're using similar like APIs, it's not the same. And the rules aren't the same because we don't recurringly bill somebody. So like those were way more like, you know, intense requirements. And I'm like, no, like we're not doing any of that. Half of this doesn't apply. And it was just like talking to a human to be like, let's find the, you know, what actually serves you guys and us really well. So yeah, it's always interesting. That's what I'm really excited about for .dev, because it's like the people that are building all the stuff that we're using, right? So with that, I'm going to make a fool of myself here and you're not going to correct me. You're going to correct me afterwards. But let's talk a bit about, you know, the name of your agency, which I have it here, and every time I mess it up, and it's Coquilico. Anyways, the question is
hard.
Naming things is hard. It's a French word for wild poppy, and you know, most people can't pronounce it unless I'm part of the minority. You can tell me. But how do you feel about the choice on that name? You know, do you feel like it was like a bold creative choice? Do you feel like people struggle with it? Yeah, just curious.
Oh, all of the above. I also just thought like I was just creating a business entity in 2021. So before I had a theme or anything, and I was like, I just need a name and a brand. I don't know what URL can I get that I like? And I don't know, I just was looking at like foreign words that were cool, and that I was thinking very visual because I thought people are going to see this on the web. I'm never going to say this. It's going to be like a business card, or it's going to be like a name on the web. So I like the look at the name. I like the sound of it. And I like that it like the translation that I read was that it meant the red color of a poppy. So I was like, cool, red. I've got a brand identity now, you know, and a poppy. Like I actually have like a poppy logo, or I guess it's not a logo, but an icon that like I had designed for it, but I never use it because I also just kind of like the word mark that I have. But yeah, but nobody can pronounce it. And so, but the URL that I like is cocalico.io. And I thought that was cute. Oh, Cocalico.io. Like that sounds nice. But again,
it sounds better when you say it. I'm just here making it.
The
I don't
only
know why.
time anybody knew what it was I had a French Canadian at Unite who I met was like,
Amazing.
Oh, I think she worked at Archetype. And so she was in the theme space and she said, oh, Brenda Cocalico. And I was like, yes, that's how you say it.
That's it. That's
Thank
amazing.
you for telling me.
That's good. I have one final question for you, and then we can tune out. But it's kind of bringing everything together. You kind of describe yourself as someone who obviously loves CSS. You're in e-commerce, and then you're a bit of a crafter. You like making soap from scratch, for example, from what I hear, dancing to good and bad pop music. And we'll end it with a fun question. If you had to give up one of those forever, which one would it be, and why is it the soap making?
It's totally soap making. I've actually already given up on soap making, even though I really liked it, because it's like baking with decoration, but it's like the cake is cooking as you're putting the cake together because the soap batter like sets, as you're working with it. But I live in a studio apartment, and when I was really into soap making, and a lot of it was during the pandemic, it was just taking over my entire apartment. And I wouldn't cook because there were like soap making things in the kitchen. And I was thinking about starting like an online, this is before I did the theme. I was thinking about starting an online store and selling soaps. And then when I started working on the theme and I started to have a business, I stopped caring about the soap making, and I realized that what I was trying to do was start a business. Like that's what I was excited about as a project, more than the soap making. And then I was starting a business in a better, more profitable way. And so I haven't made soap now in like a few years. So that's an easy choice.
Now,
although I just danced to Lady Gaga Abracadabra last night. I learned the choreography from the music video in a class.
That's fun.
So fun.
I'm not bold enough to go. Like a friend of mine just invited me to go to like some, pop dance class. And I'm like, it's one skill I do not have. And I'm like, how much do I want to make a fool of myself in front of people I've never met? It's rough. It's rough. Well, yeah, thank you so much for all the insights and for
my
me
gosh,
digging.
thank you. You are interviewing Trudy and Anne because that was so good.
Yeah, I will pull all of the details I can find. I'm glad we could dig into some more fun stuff. Obviously, the inspiration was like Hot Ones, where the questions are a little bit more obscure, a little bit more interesting. So yeah, happy to do the next ones with Trudy and Anne. Maybe next episode we'll pick one of you and I'll dive in. But
happy to drink tea instead of eat hot wings in front of you.
Tea tastings or something.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us this week. Very exciting to hear about the Partner Town Hall and get to know Brenda a little bit more. So in the coming episodes, we'll definitely be interviewing Trudy and Anne. Also very excited about the dev tickets going on sale next week. So don't forget to get those. And hopefully we will actually meet some of you in person at .dev this year in Toronto. Thanks for joining us. And we'll do our lovely heart as a goodbye.